as a psychic, I tend to ask questions about emotions, because the emotions really determine the future. I mean, if you understand the emotional background to someone, you have a pretty good picture of what's going to happen in the future. And you can tell when people are aligned, and it's just like what you're saying, Ingrid. There's a certain, even though I hear it on the phone, you can tell it in their voice. There's an energetic up or down that goes with certain kinds of things. There's an energetic, magic to it. And it's in noticing that energetic spike that it gives you the clues as to this is direction to help people really move towards. I mean, again, I think there's a similarity to the way we go about it, which is not surprising. I think, that doesn't surprise me. I want to shift gears just a second and ask, if I may, how you got interested in this to begin with. What was it about this line of work for you that excited you and made you want to go this direction?
Well, when I actually started my work when I was 22, where I full-time started being a mindset coach, and everybody started coming up to me and say, "Ingrid, you're supposed to tell me what my purpose is." And so I took that journey and I went into that and helped people finding their purpose. And at times that was really scary to me too, because I thought, wow, that's just too big, right? And the more and more I've realized is that I don't really want to tell people what their purpose is. What I want to do is show them who they are and the different things they can do. And I love building businesses that are really successful around somebody's gift, right, in what they do. But I want to be in more of a discovery mode rather than telling somebody. Because I never tell somebody. We figure it out, right, what they're here to do. And so I wanted to find the ultimate freedom, especially for myself, too, in my business, because I was, at the time, I charged a lot at the time, but you still, if you're working by the hour and you're creating a business that in 2002 actually was told I was going deafblind to spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair, and I spent 2 years in a dark room, and my whole business fell away, and I couldn't see my clients. And the year before I moved to Florida, I'd been living in Malibu and seeing all these celebrity clients and everybody in person, mind you. And then I moved to Florida and I was trying to move everybody to the phone, but then I got sick and everything fell away. And I realized that I had not even discovered my own freedom in myself, or what I think is freedom for my vision of myself, right, my highest. And to me, what I do today is the highest for myself and the highest that I think everybody can achieve in themselves, which is having financial freedom, working with the best people that you want to work with. You're sharing your true gift in the world in a way that people value it, they see it, and they understand it. And you can actually automate some of the things, so you don't only have to be there by yourself. You can have a whole team around you helping you and doing things for you, so you don't even have to be there if you don't want to. So for me, it's more about, I think my whole life has been about figuring out my ultimate potential. And I want to do that in everything that I am. So I keep doing that in myself and my business. And then I discovered that the true thing that I really do is building brands and building what they're here to do, and building a business around that functions and really works. And I can tell you, when I started my work, I had no idea. I was just more sitting in silence, looking at people's eyes, and that's how I started my work. And I had hundreds of people standing in line to see me doing that, which was amazing, but it still required Ingrid and my energy. And today I've changed everything. And so I think it's more about giving people the ultimate freedom. That's what I do today.
No, that's beautiful. It's really interesting. I mean, you typically don't see that happen with people that young, right? I mean, your story is not the usual story. And what do you think was going on within you that gave you whatever mojo you had, that as a 22-year-old woman, people would see you as having this expertise, having this ability to see them?
Yeah, it was interesting because, I mean, I had llamas, I had politicians, I had celebrities sitting at my feet, and we sit there and meditate. And I think, I mean, my near-death experience was really interesting in the sense of I was just connected. I became one with Source, right? Whatever you call Source, right? To me, Source is really, I'm one with myself, and I'm one with everything in the world and in everything. And it's so beautiful. And I meditate a few hours every day because I have to. If I don't, I'm not straight. So I usually, very early in the mornings, I sit there and I meditate because I have to tune in with my true powerful self so I can trust myself, I can see myself, and I can see everybody around me. I can also do what I'm best at, and I can help other people do what they're best at, and being confident and powerful. And I don't know what it is. I have this fearlessness when I'm in my being and do what I do. I make celebrities shake. It's funny because it's just powerful to be who you are. And I think all of us have the same power. I don't feel like I'm any different or have any more advantage than anyone else. And that makes sense. I think we all have the same capacity. It's just learning how to be more in tune with your own power and who you really are, and understanding what you do, and be willing to be in that power 100%. And that's what I actually call celebrity frequency.
No, that's beautiful. I totally agree with that, and can relate to that on so many levels. I think, when you look at young psychics, I always say you don't train a psychic or an actor either. You declutter them, which is you get rid of or help them get past the ideas that they can't do it, the ideas of why it's wrong to do it or impossible to do it, or they're not worthwhile to even attempt to do it. Those are the real deterrents. And I mean, I think that if I'm hearing you correctly, Ingrid, what you're really saying is that you've moved through a lot of those fears to stand in your own power. And that, to me, is the pinnacle of where you can be, to be truly authentic and happy with yourself and able to stand in that space and kind of rock it and keep moving. To me, that's what everybody's looking for. And I think that's what people are hungry for, and it's not so easy to do because there's so many messages telling people that they can't be there, that they're not good enough, or it's not for them. For those people,
I think society hurts us in that way.
Absolutely.
That we're told we're not good enough. Schooling doesn't teach us anything about how to be truly true to ourselves. We learn how to conform, and I think there's always a certain place for everything. But if you are here to thrive and be your true potential, I think we have to kind of abandon all that and be more in tune into who we truly are, that wild, fierce nature. I mean, to me, there's nothing more beautiful than when we are our brand, when we're shining and doing what we're here to do. People feel it. When we burn with something beautiful. I mean, human beings, we have something so different than anyone else. Well, I actually think that animals actually are always in their true nature, which is fierce and powerful, where we humans can think too much, so we get out of that true nature. But it's so gorgeous and so amazing when somebody stands on a stage sharing what they do, or on a radio show, or in a book, or if whatever it is you do. I don't care what you do. If you are doing what you're here to do, you're going to burn with this amazing fire and light, and it changes the world. And I really believe that we are so afraid of it and trained in the wrong way that we forget that we should not conform. We should be more true to who we really are versus trying to merge or trying to be like everybody else. And even in school, I got beaten for it. I got so bullied. They put me in the hospital because I was so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think the natural inclination for most people is towards that group mentality. I always sort of went my own path, good or bad. And I think that going your own way helped me later because it allowed me to stay in this kind of ambiguous space longer than other people might have been able to stand it, because I was like, even in my kind of most wacky moments, I still had this strong ego structure. I always kind of had a high opinion of myself, even if I looked around and go, well, I'm not sure why, but I always still had it, right? And I think that helped get me through whatever it is that I've been through. So Ingrid, I want to throw this scenario out to you, if I may. So someone looks at what you do, and they think, I want to be powerful, I want to have a personal brand, I want to have a successful business. But those messages that we're talking about are very strongly ingrained within their psyche, within their style of engagement. Is there something that you do to help them to release that? Because I think that's got to be a big issue for a lot of people, I would think.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of mindset training because I really think that that's exactly what we have to do with our minds. We have to work our minds and train it and instruct it and guide it, both our subconscious mind and our conscious mind and our thoughts. And when I have a negative thought, I catch it like that and turn it around because it just can't exist. And I think the time when I discovered it, and I'm just going to talk from my own, how I discovered, where I discovered the things we say to ourselves that are absolutely horrible, that just defeats us, that pulls us down and just makes us get paralyzed and freeze up and say bad things to ourselves, is the things that we're told by somebody when we're young, and then we believe those things, or we learn to say things because other people have been negative, so we turn that towards ourselves. And when I got sick and I spent those 2 years in a dark room, thank God I had done all that meditation, because I don't think I would have survived, truthfully, because being completely handicapped and not able to do anything and just needing to be still, I had acute vertigo. So I started hearing my negative thoughts, and it was basically telling me, here I'm laying, completely handicapped, told I'm going to go deaf-blind and spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair, and there was no recovery. And I got 10 more horrible diagnoses from that, so you can just imagine. But I started hearing in my thoughts saying, Ingrid, why you're just pretending you're sick. You're just being lazy. Why don't you just get up and get well? Why are you such a, you're just horrible. You're just lying to yourself. And I realized all these horrible things we say to ourselves on a daily basis. And if you can just start by trying to turn one negative thought around, you're going to start catching yourself and you start rising into your true potential. Because I think that we got to separate the negative thoughts. Those are not your thoughts. They actually don't come from you. They come from conditioning or what other people said to you or what you think you should say to yourself when you need to beat yourself up, right? We can be really cruel. So that's kind of what I would say at first, is to start turning around how you think, what you say to yourself, because you won't change anything. You can't rise if you beat yourself up. None of us can rise.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. And I mean, it's such a pervasive problem. So many people have that. And you see it everywhere. And it's not so easy, I don't think, for individuals to move through that. So in that process, once you identify that and people are on board that that's what's happening within them, what is that process typically like for you as you see them begin to consciously be self-aware? Because I think that's what's happening, right? I mean, they're becoming consciously self-aware of what's generated from within, and you're helping them to reframe that. Are you putting something in its place, or are you how does that work?
Well, we usually do, but at the same time also with, the type of clients that come in, they already are, they've done a lot of reading and are already doing a lot of work. That makes sense, because I cannot, if somebody, I'm not a therapist. That's not my job. My job is to create a business